It's challenge day.
Welcome back, challengers. It's your boy Darwin Darko, and I brought with me some dope beats for you to step to. We have 5 projects on the docket. Before we get into that, make sure to go ahead, like, and subscribe. You know what time it is. You know the homework. So make it happen. Appreciate you. We have Muse first of all with the Wow Signal dope project. It's a concept joint. Ti Kill the King finally dropped. This is his his send off. So it ended up being a good one. So looking forward to tapping into that one. Inayah has Therapy Wasn't Enough. This is the more R&B soul leaning side of the review tonight. So looking forward to getting into that. Love some of the concepts she's building on. Love seeing her trajectory. I think she was on Good Morning America and all that stuff. So great things happening in Anayah's career, and it's the talent. It's the talent that is shining through for her specifically. So I love that especially. Uh, Jay Z's Reasonable Doubt 30-year anniversary, right? Had to spin it back. Uh, I feel like it was an instant classic when it dropped, but it's these sorts of milestones show that it survived the test of time, and that joint's still knocking till this day. Love the jazzy background that happens pretty much throughout the project. Love the introspection and the perspective that he's coming from, specifically at that time being an older rapper coming into the game, and already having money. He really didn't need rap like that, and just taking it in like straight up rocket fuel. Love, beautiful joint. Then I have the Johnny Blue Skies project, Mutiny After Midnight. Man, it was a journey for me to like get to finally review this project because I was part of that group, and I'll talk about this when I get into that section. I was part of that group that trying to get it early, and it wasn't released on streaming, so I had to physically get that joint, and it was sold out everywhere and stuff. So, and it was well worth it. It was well worth it. I still spend it till this weekend. But before I do any of those deep dives, just quick housekeeping. Again, make sure you like and subscribe. Share the show with your friends. Please leave a comment, and that interaction in the comments, it helps. You do the algorithm game, right? And it'll help me swim up your timeline, up your friend's timeline. If you go to an Airbnb or something like that, log in and just press play. Let me get them spins. Appreciate you. And also, I would love to hear the stuff that you guys are vibing out to. Drop it in the comments. If I dig it out, I'll review it. If not, then at least I have something new explored. Sometimes some projects that I don't fully get into, I ends up being a stepping stone to something else that I wasn't even like that really I didn't really have on my radar. So please just continue the engagement, and we're growing steadily, and love to see it. Another so as far as the honorable mentions, R.I.P. Clive Davis. This is an iconic executive, producer type. I think he was a lawyer by training, and this is one of these legendary talent managers, talent finders in music history. So we'd be remiss if we didn't take a moment to. I mean, the dude lived a long life. He was 94 years old, right? Long, fruitful life. Put a lot of people on. Discovered a lot of our iconic. I think Whitney Houston might be one of them. Even Alicia Keys. I think, yeah. Some iconic talent under Clive Davis. So rest in peace there, and also Tay Keith. Tay Keith passed away on June 18th, so this was like a couple weeks ago. And he's one of these like in terms of Tay Keith, fuck these niggas up. You know the drop, right, when you hear the rap music, and some dope productions, and his was building and a pretty like a body of work that could stand up to anybody that's you know popping like in 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 this day and age of hip hop, and where it's moving to. Rest in power there. Hope sending healing energy towards his family, and hopefully there's like a tribute or something like that his family will get to experience. Love to see it. Last honorable mention is for the BET Awards. BET Awards just happened. It was probably one of their best shows in terms of production overall from top to bottom. They had Drewski hold the thing, host it. I mean, and he was okay. He sufficed. One thing you're gonna get if you have Drewski hosting is that you're gonna get his audience, right? He has an active audience currently. People that tap into everything every time he drops one of his shorts, one of his videos. I could see him being a Dave Chappelle type. It's at least the skits. You know, I don't know if he has a stand up career, like in the works or anything. But like as far as like skits and sketches, maybe a Michael B. Not Keenan and Michael Key and Jordan Peele. Key and Peele, yeah, Key and Peele. Michael, what did I say Jordan Peele? Anyways, um, Key and Peele. He could end up having a show something like that potentially in the future. This is a great stepping stone to show his ability to just like stitch together those sorts of sketches and be funny and pleasant and welcoming and charming for the length of the entire show. So good job on that. The performances were dope. You had I love to see French and the Wave God performance. On stage coming out of prison and he's on stage. Um, so great turnaround for him and getting things together there. There was this freaking this Lauren Hill tribute pretty much anchored the thing, and that's dope. I think she ended up getting like a living legend, like one of those honorable awards, being a living legend, and she is. And they did her right. They had Doechii perform, SZA perform like these covers of Lauren's music. I think it covered some of Fuji's and some of mostly Miseducation Lauren Hill. Um, you had Lizzo had Tierra Whack did a song. Her kids was up there. Zion did a track, you know, and it's a great tribute that they did for a living legend. It's like one of those things where you love to see them give them their flowers while they're here. We may have a complicated relationship with how Lauren Hill's entire kind of career went. I know I was one of those definitely looking for a second album, right, and definitely make it a rap album, right. Love Miseducation. Lauren Hill is one of the probably top five, top six albums of all time, at least top 10. Um, but it's in terms of judging an entire career, she pretty much. I mean, she was still eating because she was still doing shows, performing everything live, and she was just, for some reason she couldn't get off the schneid and give us a second project. Granted, she has all kinds of stories of all kinds of like people in industry stuff that like became hurdles in her path. But at the age, I mean, since like 2020, 2019, at least, even before then, really, people were just putting out music independently. Just put it to you have your own marketing team, do your own distribution, and make it. So, I feel like if she really wanted to, she could have put another album out. But besides that, it was a great tribute. She looked amazing. She did some songs herself, and she sounded great and amazing. But so, there's clips all over YouTube. Go ahead and when you get a chance, check it out. Leave a comment, tell them that you got there because you were listening to Challenge Day. All right, let's get into the Muse's latest project, The Wow Signal. This is their 10th studio project, and it is probably the biggest rollout they've pulled off in years. To launch the lead single, Be With You, Muse literally partnered with Sent into Space. This is they put a tablet up in the atmosphere and premiered the track from up there. That tells you everything about the vibe. This isn't just an album; it's a full-on concept project. It's space heavy. It's touching other dimensions and very space brain type of project. And this shows that they just haven't slowed down at all. We've already gotten 5 singles: "Be With You," "Cryogen," "Hexagons." I think "Night Shift Superstar." That's a dope one. "Night Shift Superstar." Um, what else? "Unraveling." Unraveling. Yeah, towards the end of the project, there, track number 8. They're also kicking off a North American tour later this month with Portugal the Man. Love their work. Temper Trap. This it and this. learning that, I had to do another deep dive into Timber Trap from back in the day. That sweet disposition. Love that joint. And Rabbit Hole, another great Timber track. So that got me on the whole Timber Trap. Um, Freaking Rabbit Hole there. Rabbit Hole, their iconic song there. Honestly, this is Muse doing what Muse does best. Everything is turned up all the way. Big theatrical moments here, glam rock swagger, a lot of disco vibes, church organs throughout the project, sprinkled throughout there. Um, I think this may be this things may sound over the top in this production, but it feels pretty accurate. If you're taking on a theme like space and space travel and the time space continuum, the music's gonna have to be over the top. You can't be subtle with it. But they even introduce some subtleties in key moments that just makes it such a well thought out body of work. It's built around the 1977 wow signal. This is why it's called the wow signal, right? So there was this. I can't remember what university it was, but like this, it might have been San Diego. Was it San Diego, Texas? I can't recall, but they had a satellite that was pointing in a particular um, area in space, and this is a ground based satellite. And usually they review the numbers the next morning, and it was just this is like 1977, so like um, you review it and it's always the same because pointing to like this void in space, and the numbers are always within like you know one or two I think decibels or whatever they were measuring it by. Uh, but then one night there was something a signal that came through that was an anomaly. The next day the scientist was reviewing it, and they were just reviewing the normal, drinking the coffee, and all. So it was like, wow, because that was that spike, and they still haven't been able to find it since. What was that spike? The frequency that it was transmitting at gave all kinds of. It's sort of the thing where it's like almost it would have to be an intentional, sophisticated, technologically advanced society or technology or species that was able to send this signal. I think I've heard other theories before that says like maybe it could potentially be something kind of like something some sort of signal that originated from Earth and got some distance away and been traveling for some time, and it ended up bouncing back to us. So that's a signal maybe we polluted. So it's like this is one of those things you gotta be careful if we're going to Mars or if we're going to wherever we're going to outside in space. We're looking for organic um, traces of life, and it's gotta be like, well, we have to make sure we're very sanitary in how we collect the specimens because we could be introducing, you know, the contamination into the sample, which could be the same thing in this case where the signal that we're seeing. So that's a theory. But either way, that's what the event was. It's called the Wow Signal. This is 1977, and that's why they named this project that way. And they keep the theme going. They keep that joint going. When you hear this this project, first thing you take away is you're gonna hear some glam rock. You're gonna hear some French house, maybe prog metal, synth pop laced throughout this whole thing. Sometimes all inside the same song, and somehow it works. Another thing is I love the real strings, the real choirs, the cinematic feel of the overall execution and the production. It makes it feel larger than life. It's basically space opera, if you want to call it something like that. There may be a few tracks that immediately stand out for me that you could probably check out is Hexagons. This is featuring a sound design from a movie sound engineer, and I looked him up. This is Alex von Korff. What was that movie? Shoot, did I? I didn't take a. I don't know if I took a note. But he's a sound engineer, and you could hear it in the sound effects that are also not even just musical instruments, not even just ballads or strings or anything. There's like little like sound effects that are incorporated in that track there, and it's throughout the project, which you have, but it's even more pronounced on Hexagons. Night Shift Superstar. This is a disco rock powered by some French house groove. It's slick, it's urgent, ridiculously fun. Be With You starts with a haunting church style organ um, that explodes into this like massive electronic um, uh, rock kind of payout that you gain from that one. Somehow it still lands as a genuinely heartfelt love song. Be With You. So definitely check that one out. Hush is featuring Ellie Goulding. So this is dope. We talked about Ellie Goulding's iconic voice being such a standout that as soon as she starts singing the first note, you're like, oh, I know that voice. That's what it was. And I think there was a Drake. You know, Drake had a song with Ellie Goulding that I talked about a little while ago. Um, and I have to shout out the transition between the sickness in you and I and unraveling. That was such a gorgeous moment on the project, especially because like sickness in you and I is such like it leans heavy metal, right? It leans heavy rock, and then it just like bleeds out to these little ping 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 ping, ping these pings, right? Um, and then it's like you drop a marble and it sounds like that is leading out, and then that marble effect. It's like a digital marble, like a robot marble kind of effect, like it bleeds into the very next song. This is our continuous segue, and I am a sucker for the continuous segue going. And the track is called "Unraveling" that it goes into, and "Unraveling" is such a beautiful way that it was put together and constructed. The track is called "Unraveled," and as the music is playing, as the first verse is being introduced, and then going into the chorus, the song then explodes in the chorus. Like it's like the track itself is unraveling. It's opening up. It's immaculate in total production. And to be coming in from that continuous segue of the song before, I mean I guess that would make it something like a seven. I say you have to enjoy it together. A 8 minute track. Yeah, over 8 minutes of a track, and this is why you got to listen to the projects from top to bottom, because like you would miss stuff like that to see how it bleeds into the other. If you just got it as a single, you don't get that same sort of effect, and that is intentional. That had to be intentional, putting it together like that and laying out the track list just like that. Especially with a concept album, something like that is very important because you're painting a picture. You're telling this like narrative pretty much through the music, and pacing matters. Absolutely, placement matters on the track list. So gorgeous work they did there. I definitely think you should check out those tracks. Check out the whole thing, man. This isn't the type of stuff that is easy to consume. I would say that you need to pay attention. Sometimes you're going to be challenged. Sometimes the music is going to get your heart rushing, and then other times you just you're just let down by humanity, maybe, right? You feel the heaviness of this being such a space brained sort of project. There's definitely anxiety, there's dread running through it, but there's also curiosity and wonder. Underneath all the giant production and theatrical moments, it's really an album about reaching out, trying to connect with each other, with the unknown, with something probably bigger. This is the kind of record that you put on when you're in a creative space, when you're building something, when you're making something. Maybe you got a huge canvas and you got your first brush strokes in. You're experimenting with color. Maybe this is you're restoring furniture. You're sanding down like a old chair that you're gonna resurface it and maybe finish it off with some sort of lacquer or something like that. It is to get you in that headspace where you're in another universe where you could just like float away. You're in that zone. You're in that flow state. This is the soundtrack for flow state if you're creative and if you're building. Definitely, I recommend the experience. That will be the one. So yeah, I'm happy to report that the Wild Signal is out. Run and go listen to it. And it feels like a whole event. It feels like an event that's happening in your ears. It's not just a collection of songs. It's a world that you step into for about an hour. You got an hour, don't you? One of the biggest drops of the summer is out. We were warned. I was warned, and I still wasn't ready for what Ti was treating my ears with. Kill the King just dropped. This is his 12th and final studio album. Think more than 25 years shaping trap music, helping put Atlanta on the global hip hop map. And now Tip is officially calling time on his solo album run. He's been teasing this project since 2017, not as a victory lap, but as a conversation with ego, legacy, and what it really costs to wear the crown. Calling himself King of the South, to be able to have the audacity first and foremost to take that on. You're hearing what's going coming out of L.A., was coming out the New York at the time. These different places talk who's the king of this, the king of New York. Conversations are happening. Um, and I feel Outcast Andre 3K already had opened cracked the door for this, talking about the South got something to say. So now we're paying attention to the South, that whole era, and then for this guy to come out and his OGs is already out, Goody Mob is already out and moving and shaking. 8 Ball MJG already out, moving and shaking. Then you won't call yourself King of the South? Who is you? Uh, Audacity, the audacity of hope, right, to do that. But also, Ti does mention that he had conversations with the OGs. You know what I mean? He checked in with them, like, yo, if you feel like you wear that crown, say, go ahead, you're welcome to do it. We're not, they ain't just start calling him King of the South automatically, but like, it is a, you gotta take the crown sort of situation, and nobody else was really stepping up like in that particular way. Everybody had their lane in the South, and they were doing their thing, and, you know what I mean, and they had their loyal fans, and they super served them, right? They super served them up, get what they need. But like trying to take the whole South under your arm and be like, yo, I am the biggest superstar in terms of hip hop out here in the South, and South represents a large geographical area, and he did it. He did it. He proved it. Stayed true to it. And we watched him grow through it. We watched Ti go from little badass Tip, right? Little badass Tip. He has a track on here talking about, like, I'm just telling you how it went, right? Yeah, I probably, I don't know if maybe I'll get into that track a little bit when I go down some of the intro tracks, but in that track he talks about the whole journey um, from tank tops to long tees, all the way to boardrooms, and you know what I'm saying, in Louis V sweaters, right? You love to see a trajectory like that, especially for somebody in hip hop. I'm here for it. He is saying that he might be retiring from the solo album thing, but he's not necessarily retiring. You could potentially see him do a collaboration album, maybe. And of course, he's got his podcast. He's got movies and stuff that he's been doing. So maybe there's a soundtrack. When Black Panther dropped, or even Harder They Fall, or any of those Sinners, right? We have our current living artists on those soundtracks, and some of those soundtrack songs, like Whitney Houston with Bodyguard, or Seal with Batman, a soundtrack to a movie. Some of these songs live on, right? So he still has ideas to that. Maybe video games. I know when the video games have music now, especially talking about FIFA or like 2K or something like that. He's still gonna give us some bars here and there, a bit more than Andre is committed to do. I had to give him a quick dig right there. Andre need to get behind the mic, give us another project. Would greatly appreciate that. But looking back at I'm Serious Trap Music King, you're looking at a soundtrack to Atlanta becoming a hip hop powerhouse, and now he's ending this story the same way he built it, on his terms. Now, let's get into the music, because the production lineup here is ridiculous. Pharrell, Dre, Organized Noise are some of these producers. On this thing, Juicy J, another on the production on this thing. Pharrell with Let 'Em Know. This one is prior to like the lead single, and that has how many spins that joint got already? Yeah, that's over 64 million spins right there. 64 million. Let me see. Is anything else come close on this project? Nah, ain't nothing else comes close. So yeah, so Pharrell knows how they make him one, right? For he had the whole clips run, and you got him on one. I think he has him on a couple of tracks on here actually. And I'm not a big fan of the other tracks, so it's not a perfect album. But the songs that I'm not fucking with, you might be fucking with, and also even those songs don't completely take me out of the vibes, right? So that's let them know where I'm from. Man, this song is so freaking dope. With Anderson Paak, it brings that soulful, laid-back energy while Tip keeps it grounded with hometown storytelling. Where I'm from, talking about where I'm from, and they kind of do like a little give and go sort of situation on there, where where Pac spits there's no really spit the verse. He does the bridge and the chorus, and then like he ends his line and Ti picks up right. We talk about where I'm from, right, and they tell stories about where they're from and what it's like, and what it's almost like part of it is here. Let me just tell you where I'm from. You tell me where you're from. Okay, cool, cool. And then like they may be having a piece of the conversation where this person's complaining about a little bit where they're from. He's like, well, now let me tell you. You got something? You think you got something to complain about where you from? Because now they're talking about some of the hard times wherever they from. And he's like, and then like it becomes like almost like a oppression Olympics sort of thing. He's like, man, at least you had all that, this, that, and that. Like here's where I'm from. And this is how bad it was in my space. Great storytelling, um, great chemistry on the beat. The song caught me off guard at first, especially because the way it opened up and it started. I was like, what kind of song is this going to be? What kind of track is this going to be? And then when I heard and the Anderson Paak snapping on the snare, and I heard that voice, I was like, oh, it makes sense. It's the eclectic style of song, and it's and Anderson Paak makes perfect sense in that sort of space. Gorgeous is a love track. It's a love song that he got on here featuring Usher. Usher is singing on that thing. Great appearance on here, and it's a song where he's pretty much a love song to his wife. Talking about no matter what people say, no matter what we go through, in my eyes, you're gorgeous, right? No matter what other people's opinions may be, you gave me these kids. You've been by me. He's been with Tiny for like forever, right? And so, and this is kind of just like a love song and a tribute to Tiny on this thing. Everything that they've been through, the setbacks, him going in and out of prison, having TV shows, and the fallouts that happened from those things, and just all of the trials and tribulations. She's been around and she's been loyal, and they've been together and they've been committed to each other. You don't see that often in celebrity couples, but I mean, she wasn't a celebrity necessarily, but she's been by his side for a long time. And you love to see black love in that at that stature, and not to the point where he's pretty much doing his farewell tour, right? Farewell rotation, right? And he says on one of these tracks, man, you know how many times I done went out my way to fuck this shit up?
I must make you aware of the fact that the glory should go to God. Cause I tried to fuck this shit up a long time ago. If it was not for the grace of God, listen, man, I would not be here, bro. Yeah. You know how many times I went out my way to fuck this shit up?
He's rebuilt. He has to rebuild. I know exactly how that goes because I've had to rebuild multiple times. And so, what the fuck do I give about a hard time? What do you mean hard times? Okay, that's just another Wednesday for your boy. Feel me? Right? That's just another day for your boy. So, I identify with that message. I identify with that track. And this is the one of the things that comes from being a veteran in the game, having that experience under your belt. You're talking about where you're from. You're not necessarily glorifying it, but you laying out the history as it was, and you have that insight now as an OG in the game that you could just put out, right? Jay-Z's 444, Killer Mike with the Michael album, right? Won a Grammy for that, right? I could see this being a Grammy project. I could see this being a Grammy nominated project, and it's putting out game from the OG. Rakim did that joint, right? So, love to see that T.I. kept it south. He kept it south. He didn't sell out. He didn't switch up his tone. He wasn't chasing some, putting a bunch of like, I mean, he does have NBA, is it NBA YoungBoy or who's it? Oh yeah, Young Boy Never Broke Again is on here, right? So that's a little bit of that market that he might not usually have tapped into. And of course, he has a couple of these tracks that are consumer. Like Let Him Know is gonna be spinning for the radio. So he did what he had to do in terms of homework to make sure that this project gets its spins, it gets its looks right, so that he can lay out all the more thoughtful and introspective and history telling stuff that he wants to put on wax for the record. That's you're gonna find that all over this thing, and he lays the table perfectly for that. So see what I'm saying? Opens up as the first track he's rapping on here, and he's going deep on that. He's got Young Dro on that thing, and Young Dro has always been like freaking like his Robin to his Batman. Let him know it's gonna be is already a hit for sure. Then that's when we get to the Anderson .Paak track. That's a hit. So he's starting off very strong already there. Rant, dope track. He's just talking his shit right there. And then he goes into Mr. Him. Tell him Mr. Him is here. That one I wasn't feeling so much. It didn't take me out of it though. But then he goes, I'm just telling you how I went with the Dream. And shout out to the Dream, the legacy there. And right after that bit, he got Dope Boys Academy. And you know you got the Hitmakers on there. T-Pain is on there. Jeezy on there. 2 Chainz there. With T.I., bro, that's just like the Avengers. Summer Walker makes an appearance. So he's keeping it. Atlanta. He's keeping it Atlanta. Usher, right? Even being on here, and he's keeping it street. It might be a little street adjacent because he's not in that street anymore. But he's talking about his real world, which is still a little bit street adjacent. This project is a legacy joint. This project is something that deserves respect. It deserves your attention. If you're going to listen, give it the due respect it deserves and match the energy that the record is putting out. And that's maybe pour yourself a French Connection. I love that. It's one of my favorite drinks when I go to brunch. Right? Get yourself a French Connection. Maybe you throw it on while you're preparing for a trip the night before. You got your luggage out. You putting together the toiletries and whatnot. Seeing how many pairs of drawers you need, counting that out. Going over in your head the different events you got going on. Are you gonna go to an excursion? You know what I mean? Is there like some party night? Maybe you're going to some club night in that space. Maybe it's going to be a day full of doom buggies, or maybe you're just going to be in the pool, right? While you're planning and plotting that out in your head, maybe you're cleaning out some closet space while you're doing that, right? Maybe you clean out a little bit of closet space. This is a project that you can lock into, zone in and run back. Oh, you got to play that song back. There's one time where he's spitting on, I just say how it went, where he goes, hoo hoo. I think it's Biggie Smalls' voice that comes in there. Hoo hoo, this nigga popping. And I was just like, yeah, I am feeling it right now that he is popping, because I was thinking the same thing. I thought it was in my head. I had to run that bit back, and it turns out, they interjected it in the record. And he just getting his shit off. So do that, get in that zone, get in that space, throw this project on, put it on your headphone. Well, you can put it on the speakers. It plays well in the speakers as well. But definitely got to give it some time for your trunk. You got to give it some time in your headphones. It's the final chapter from one of Atlanta's most important voices, delivered with the kind of clarity that only comes to you over time. Let's talk about Inayah's latest project, Therapy Wasn't Enough. This joint dropped on June 5th, and if you've been following her recently in her career, then you know she is not afraid to go there. She is not afraid to be vulnerable. She is not afraid to talk about the actual journey as she's going through it. This project is probably going to be go down as probably her most honest yet. The story behind it is a big part of why it works, because she is over the last few years she's been talking about this a lot, going through therapy, living through it, and actually incorporating it into her music, very much so, heavily. Matter of fact, in this project, there's even some voice notes from live from genuine therapy sessions. She's talked about it everywhere in interviews, morning TV, on the radio. And one thing that she keeps saying is that therapy gives her tools. It's not trying to magically. It doesn't. And therapy doesn't do this. And I guess this is Darwin's mental health corner. Therapy doesn't purport to fix all your problems. And I think people should stop looking at it that way. I'm an advocate that everyone should have some mental health therapy because it's like going to the gym for your muscles, right? You get tired, you get fatigued, but you go to the gym to work that thing out to get those muscles stronger. Same thing with your brain. There is still so mental fatigue is a thing. Your brain, your brain goes through metabolism just like the rest of your body does, and so when losing like doing something like this, all the mental energy that goes into a long project, preparing for a show like this, or whatever you're doing at work, you know, not getting sleep, these reading a book like these things take an actual toll on your brain in terms of working it out, in terms of increasing the metabolism, um, you know, and the nutrients that that occur when you do some heavy thinking. And I love that she's like, yeah, therapy wasn't enough though. Therapy wasn't enough though. For her, an extra outlet to unpack all that stuff was to put it in the music. To put it so get some therapy and you can put that energy in the creative work that you may be producing, and it can make it and just incorporate it in it can make it that much deeper, that much more well received. She did her thing on here. She's in a good place personally right now. She's recently been engaged. She's still acting. She's doing voice work, and she attributes it all to having these tools in her kit that she gained from therapy to be able to tap into when she's unsure, when she's feeling maybe depression, maybe she's feeling imposter syndrome, or maybe when she's feeling like she's not enough, right? All those tools that you get to tap into because she has heavily invested in herself, which is an investment that nobody else can make for you. Nobody else can force you to make for it's an investment is going to pay off in dividends, and it's showing in the freaking music. Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about the production. The lineup is stacked. Damon Thomas, we got the Underdogs, Triangle Park, Eric Hudson, production and producers left and right. But this is what you're going to get when you tap into usually these R&B projects. There's going to be a lot of producers, a lot of chefs in the kitchen on these things. This is a serious group of producers, and you hear it immediately. The album is polished without losing the emotional core to it all. The R&B bridge is back. Inayah intentionally brought it back because she felt that the genre lost something when artists stopped using bridges. Listening to this album, it's hard to argue with her. Choose includes real therapy audio. So she's actually incorporating these recordings in her music, like helping set the stage for that particular track or the next one coming up. Love it. That track Outside is tipping to traditional R&B music. Lil Mo, Usher. You don't have to call, right? She kind of sort of like a remix of that track, but it still feels fresh enough for 2026. So it's not a worn out sounding track at all. The album follows an emotional journey. It starts in the middle of heartbreak and confusion, then it slowly works towards clarity. WTF opens that story, and Crazy 2 brings it full circle. WTF, speaking of which, this is coming across as like confusion, a little bit controlled chaos, a little bit. You can hear somebody trying to keep it together while everything underneath is falling apart. Choose is one of the most personal records on here. Outside, this one's the vibe. Catchy, it's replayable. Crazy 2 is a strong closer because she doesn't just point fingers. She says, maybe I'm crazy too, right? Pointing fingers, nonetheless, saying, you did that, you got that, how could you do this, right? what were you thinking? And then she's like, and for me to still be rocking with you, this ain't the first time stuff like this has happened, and I'm still kicking it with you, then maybe I'm crazy too. Pretty much the message is going on there. I haven't heard a better vocal performance for this length of a project. I overall, even from track to track, I haven't heard a better vocal performance since Duran Bernard's Bloom, and she is on exhibition for the entire project. The overall vibe of Therapy Wasn't Enough feels grown. It's not about a breakdown or a breakup. It's not even necessarily about having the perfect glow up either, because it's been messy. It's all about the in between stuff. It's awkward in moments. It's uncomfortable. It taps into that part of you where you're learning, you're making mistakes, you're figuring yourself out, you're figuring things out, right? Figuring out the world around you, the people around you. This feels like the soundtrack for a reset. When you're cooking, maybe something for yourself, because finally you're starting to take care of yourself and eat a little bit better. It's the sort of music for rebuilding. It's quietly but consistently delivering without need for applause or artificial participation. Inayah is giving you music for the work that comes after the breakthrough, after therapy. One thing is to go through the therapy, but therapy isn't enough. She's trying to let you know. You gotta put in that work in your daily life, your daily ventures, your journals, in your craft. Put it in there too. The passion and the clarity will shine through. If you're looking for R&B that trusts you to listen, reflect, and stay with the story, that is absolutely one of these projects. This is actually one of those projects that you should play all the way through. All right, I gotta talk about Reasonable Doubt. This is Jay-Z's first album, and it is turning 30 years old today. Yes, that's how old you are. Reasonable Doubt is turning 30. New York has been going all out for the celebration too. We're talking pop-ups. They wrapped some subways in like the subway cars with Jay-Z's face on them. Rock Nation launched a Jay-Z 30 back in June, and it is you live to become a legend enough with like the like he said, the same blocks he used to sling rocks from. Not a host that he given. Now he got keys to the city, right? They're celebrating him. I remember I went to the Brooklyn Library a couple years back, and they had a whole exhibition there for Jay-Z, like for his city to embrace him and for him to be an icon from his city. The mayor of Brooklyn, pretty much. And it's dope to see that trajectory and to have seen it for such a long time. The whole thing falls under Jay-Z 30. This is going to be pretty much a year-long celebration rolling through the release dates of Jay's catalog, treating each music contribution as part of this like living archive. He's got 3 nights at Yankee Stadium, July 10th through the 12th. I unfortunately won't be making it. Those tickets are already like super high prices from what I heard. I wish I had a connection to be there when that goes down. That's going to be iconic. Who knows what special guests he brings out. We already had a little bit of that stage performance when at the Roots Picnic, but this is going to be his specific joint, right? That he's going to play. I think he's playing Blueprint. I think there's different nights. He's going to play maybe Reasonable Doubt. Of course, Reasonable Doubt. And I'm not sure which other album he's gonna be playing during that show. Running through the whole set list is gonna be that project. Freaking dope and amazing for him to be able to have a resurgence like this. I think he's got another project probably coming down the pike. I think that's what this is all inevitably gonna be about. Reasonable Doubt is really made a splash when it landed because this is this is his debut project. But also, he's an older rapper at the time. He's an older person at the time, and coming into this rap game, it's always been a young man sport. He's already older, and haven't been in the streets, and really making a career for himself in the streets, anyways. So he really didn't need this rap thing, but people keep telling him he's nice, right? He's nice with the words. So he gave it, put the body of work together, and and it was an instant classic. I feel like we knew it was an instant classic when it first dropped back in '96. I mean, I guess there are other classics that have to grow on you over time, but there's a specific designation for instant classics, and I think this was one of those at the time, and it lived up to it even 30 years later. Like, what album? Think about the albums that you might have rocked with 30 years ago that it's going to have a 30-year anniversary where it's not only embraced, they released a special edition, which is part of the criteria that I established a long time ago. Yeah, that's how we know it's a classic for sure. They released a special edition for it. People are still checking for it. He is performing, and all those shows are sold out. 30 years later, this is the type of stuff that's going to be played hundreds of years from now when we're all dead and gone. One of the album's biggest strength is still the production. When I go back and listen to it, we're talking about him being surrounded by DJ Premier, Clark Kent, Irv Gotti. There's something just jazzy, smooth, and but still street smart at the same time that they're all able to capture in every contribution that they make on the project. What stands out production wise specifically is the soul samples, the jazz, right? It feels like being in a late night speakeasy on occasion. Rockefeller, the motif of Rockefeller, that sort of era is sort of like what Maybach music is in the current generation. Well, I guess in the 20 teens, because Maybach music isn't. I don't know how many people really check in like the way that Maybach music was supposed to like grow as an identity. I don't know if it ever really took off. But Rockefeller records, like the mafioso, the mafia type, we got Junior Mafia was around this time. We have, these guys are wearing suits now. These drug dealers are wearing suits now. They want to fashion themselves as sort of like a more organized crime versus just street crime, right? And taking on the apparel for that is doing things like Jake, getting these folks off, Sean John, right? In that label, these are button ups we're talking about, right? You still wear jeans, but like a mixture of street and classic, right? He blended those things in with Sean John. So, but him coming in the game as an older gentleman, as an older person, he can do that. He has that space to stretch the game in that particular way, and the project was just before his time. It was before his time. Well, he's always been someone that's early, a little bit early before his time. I mean, he was late into the game, but I think he knew he had to really build because he's going to be talking his that street stuff. He had to have that in the background. He had to have that in to be a true story, so the message could land. Like I said, Hope said, I went through that, so you don't have to go. So hopefully you don't have to go through that, right? A couple of tracks you can jump into if you haven't listened to the project in a while to get you back in the vibe. The Evils, this one is dark, reflective, is paranoid in all the right ways. It just wrestles with the price of ambition and every verse getting heavier as it unfolds. Brooklyn's Finest, man, this back and forth with him and Biggie, it's got me thinking like, dang, man, what if Big would have lived long enough to eventually we would have gotten like a older generation of them, not a generation, but like an older version of them doing a collab album, right? Or give me a whole like 8 or 9 tracks of Jay-Z and Biggie, to hear that, to hear that combination, to hear the flow cadence, it's almost like they're dancing. They're dancing. They really both hitting that same pocket. They're passing the torch to each other, passing back and forth seamlessly. The production is freaking dope on that thing. Man, it would have been just so great to be able to see them have performed together and put together a body of work off of that same sort of energy. I would have, man, that would have been something amazing to see. But it's just so freaking effortless. They're just like casually just fucking doing their thing, just killing it. Some of the, probably my favorite track on the entire project. But then there's that joint with that Nas, it's that Nas sample. Dead Presidents. That's the one. Yeah, yeah, that one is some of Jay's sharpest writing over one of the most recognizable beats in hip hop. Every line is measured, and of course Nas is still on the hook. There, they sent it to him with Nas on it, and they get, hey, do you want us to to work it and engineer to get Nas's voice on there. And Jay was like, he made the decision to like, no, keep that in there, right? And it's so crazy that later, we would get this this whole Nas versus Jay, um, tete-a-tete, and drops ether on them, right? Drops ether on them. So for since then I've always thought Nas won that battle with when he dropped ether. But either way, they're both grown now. They're both past all that. They both survived the game. They're both thriving and doing well and doing great. Can I Live is competes for another one of my favorite tracks on this thing. This is probably the best example of the album's balance. Is luxurious on the surface, but underneath it's all about survival and staying disciplined. The whole album lives in that space where confidence meets caution. Jay always sounds like he's thinking 3 moves ahead, calm under pressure, focus, never rush. This is the vantage point of somebody who's experienced, who's lived that life, and crawled out on the other side, and he's telling us all about it. This thing should be mostly appreciated and throw that bit on when you are able to lock in, when you are available to lock in. Maybe you're working on a vision board. Maybe you're trying to do some career planning. Maybe just even setting up for the week to come. You got a big presentation or something like that. Some big decisions are coming down. You got a pitch. Maybe you're working on a pitch deck. Throw this on and just like let the ambition infuse you and infuse your working space, infuse your creative space. The production helps you focus. The storytelling reminds you that ambition is always can be a driving force for you, but it is not without making mistakes and having some trade-offs, right? It happens, such is life. But my main takeaway is that Reasonable Doubt became the blueprint for how Jay-Z's was going to approach his entire career with intentionality, strategically, and with discipline. He's, like T.I., he has his moments throughout his career where he may have taken a tumble, maybe have gone out of his way to fuck the shit up, but he learned from it, and through some grace from his family and the supporters and people who love him, he was able to get back on his two, and get back on that trajectory. Like, hey, here, King, you dropped your crown for a quick second. But with all the New York pop-ups happening, with the subway station thing, and the way that hip hop is showing love and respect and bleeding over to regular society, showing love for Jay-Z, it's moving. It's a teachable moment for rappers who want a blueprint of how the shit's supposed to go. You're supposed to get this opportunity, jump in and commit to it, and if you survive it on the other side, you work hard on the other side, you can be Jay-Z. It may look a little bit different on you because you're like, in terms of getting to the pinnacle of the game, getting to the zenith of your craft, the zenith of your sector. This is something to look up to, and like what helps is putting out some classic shit, and this thing was a classic. Jay-Z was going to be an icon. We should have known it since '96. Let's get updated on Sturgill Simpson. Well, actually, it's Johnny Blue Skies for this one. Mutiny After Midnight. This is the new project by Johnny Blue Skies. This is Sturgill's alter ego. And at this point, if it's Johnny Blue Skies project, it's going to be a concept album, right? And it's got a life of its own. The rollout matched the mindset. The album dropped on vinyl, CD, and cassette only. When it first dropped, I'm on this is an artist on my radar, so I didn't realize that. Not at first, so I go and I'm looking for this project, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I go to this website, and it turns out it's only available on physical copy. So I ended up ordering it. It took a while to get to me because they were already sold out. So I finally got my hands on it a little while back, and I've had it spinning. I couldn't get it on the record, so do what it is. My record, the sound system in my record for my record player is more like for background music. It's not the type of stuff that you want to play like to get the full appreciation of a big band. Um, uh, to get a big band sound out of. It's not the best setup for that. So I would either have to listen to it in my car or in headphones, right? I could play it in the studio here, but I don't have a record player here. But I needed to play it on CD. That was the other option. Um, I do have a CD player, so I had to order the CD, waited for that to come in, and hey, they got me to buy it. It worked with the whole not releasing it on streaming kind of thing. It really built that intrigue. They got me. They got me on it, and but it was well worth the wait. It's a good reminder though that if you put something out that's intentional, that you put into work yourself, like as an artist, like you don't phone it in, the people will respond. That's why all those things kept on being sold out. People will respond if you respect your audience, especially your core fans, right? People that actually be checking for you without something automatically being fed to them in the algorithm. And we haven't gotten a project in a while, so um, you got to lock into the people that support you, that are actively searching for you. The way this record came together is almost as interesting as the music itself. It was recorded at Easy Eye Sound, produced by Johnny Blue Skies himself, and written in the room with the dark clouds. So this was a production that they they were in the room making the music and writing the songs as they played, like really off of some like jam session type shit. And let's all just jam. Somebody will pick up a tune, somebody will pick up a melody or something like that, and go with it, rinse and repeat it, and then other people jump in and remember what you did. You know what I mean? Then write and actually have a notebook there and writing it down as they created this universe. The song's written on the spot. The It's built around groove, around rhythm, and the the guitar, the extra instruments are just as part of the tapestry of the lyrics, just as important. It finally expanded to streaming. Um, when did it finally expanded to streaming a couple of weeks ago? I looked and I was like, oh, it's available now in streaming. But so I can listen to it on the headphones or the PC. But I do have a CD. I haven't bought a CD in a long time, and so this one was well worth the purchase, well worth the wait. A couple of tracks to jump into if you want to like peruse first. The opening track, "Make America Fuck Again." This one is funky, it's blunt, it's political, but it tells you exactly what the kind of record you're going to get yourself into. Excited Delirium. So these records are talking about the here and the now, what's going on in time and space in America right now. Excited Delirium is short, it's fast, it's a little chaotic with the band sounding completely locked in. Stay on that. This is a groove that settles in and refuses to leave. The rhythm section absolutely carries this one. Stay on that, meaning stay on that D. That's how it finishes, right? You want to hit that G, you got to stay on that D. So it's a sexy song, but it's a fun, movement oriented song that you wouldn't that could slip by you if you're not paying attention. Viridescent is another dope track. It's dreamy. It's more atmospheric, but it still moves. Probably the most emotionally resonant track on the album. The one I keep going back to though myself, the one that I just can't get enough of is um, "It's Gonna Be a Situation." This situation track. It first starts with some boot cat, boot cat, and that's just the drum pattern, right? That it goes through, and then like the lyrics jump in and so forth. Like first time I saw you, I knew you were gonna be trouble. Then you turned and walked away, and I saw them bubbles. I was like, oh, that's clever. You threw that in there like that, right? And so it's this whole journey about courting this woman and how like it's a situation. Like this girl is a problem. Like seeing all the red flags going up, going up, going up. I knew you was gonna be trouble, but like you just so bad, you just so fine, you just got me intrigued that like I'm gonna have to take a bite of that apple, right? So amazing track and it's very catchy. Just the booty cat, that drum, it's just so steady, and it's like gets you in a trance. It's a situation. The whole track itself is a situation. The biggest thing I took away from consuming this project is that while there could be some dark themes, there could be some important themes in there. It's still joyful. They still carry it through with that passion of just vibing with each other. I think they were just happy to play with each other, and it comes through in the sound and the music that was made in this thing. It's a dance record, but it's not one of those. It's not EDM, right? It's all about getting people in the same space, laughing at how ridiculous everything is, and moving towards it, towards that silver lining, or towards the light at the end of the tunnel, moving towards that space together. The picture I keep coming back to is a Saturday afternoon, maybe a rooftop hang, nothing fancy, mismatched lawn chairs. Somebody's working the grill, and you got a couple burgers on that thing. People are talking over each other, but it's like you can still hear the speaker pumping out the jam, right? It's a little bit louder than the neighbors would prefer, but y'all zoning out and y'all vibing, and it sets up a whole scene. It sets up a whole situation to be a cathartic moment. Nobody's analyzing every lyric on this thing, but every once in a while, one of them sparks, and one of them hits you where you gotta pay attention. You gotta be like, oh, I see what he's doing there. I see how you work that in there, right? Johnny Blue Skies wants you to show up, lock in, and move a little. It's loud, it's rhythmic, it's intentionally made, and it's the kind of record that keeps revealing more each time you throw it on.
It's challenge day.